a coaching session. We're still going to record for those who couldn't be here with us. All right. So this presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number ED-ESE 15A0015/0006 with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred. So now that you are all very officially disclaimed, today, after we do introductions, we're going to just real quickly go over some of the COVID-19 guidance and information from the department that those of you who were with us for the APR webinar got last week. And then we'll have some time for all of us to do collaboration and sharing amongst all the grantees and educators regarding school closure and digital learning plans, what you have going on currently, how you're working to keep your kids engaged, and what digital learning resources you're currently using and challenges that are coming up with that or things that are working super well. And then some kind of final questions and next steps. So I'm going to unshare so we can see each other Brady Bunch way. If you are not as familiar with Zoom, don't worry. By the end of school closure, you'll be a pro. So if you are trying to figure out how you can see everybody because you don't just want to look at me, go up to the top. And you should see over on the right side where it says gallery view or speaker view. If you click that, it'll change it back and forth. Speaker view makes it where you're just seeing the person who's currently talking, whereas gallery view, you can see the whole NAL family. And then also, because we do want to have lots of conversation today, so that you can tell how to mute and unmute yourself. When you're not talking, I'd suggest muting just because it helps cut down on the background noise so you can hear everybody. But when you are talking, of course, you want to unmute. That button is usually on your screen at the bottom left, and it looks like one of those kind of broadcast microphones, and you can click your sound on and off. And then right beside that is like a little video camera icon. So if you dare, we would invite everybody to get on camera. We're all at home, so it's fine. But that way we can have as close to possible a face-to-face get-together today. All right, if you have any other issues or anything, post them over in the chat or unmute and ask for help and we'll get you situated. But I want to go ahead and start introductions with Angela.
Welcome, everybody. Good afternoon, I think, to most of you, if not all of you, or near afternoon. I'll just say, first of all, everybody looks well, and that makes me feel really good. It also makes me feel really good that I don't see anybody chiming in from Disneyland or a big party. We're all keeping our social distancing in check, so thank you. Seriously, I hope you guys are all doing well and that the same can be said of your family and loved ones. I really wish everybody the best. I know it's been really tough and really challenging for all of us, and certainly our educators out there trying to stay engaged with the kids and the people you care about. Serving. So thank you for your commitment. Thank you for being on today. And I really am looking forward to a lively discussion amongst you. I'm going to be stepping away for a few moments after this to get some other work done. But I will certainly be in touch with Sarah and Kathleen and the team following. And I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Tanya. I think looks like Tanya might have froze.
Tanya may have frozen in midair, so we're going to let her. Tanya, if you can hear us, you may have to, if it's totally frozen, you may have to leave and come back, Tanya, to knock it back into gear. So I'm going to skip over to Kathleen and we'll come back.
Yeah, just a quick hello and good wishes from Synergy Enterprises, Inc. We too are so happy that you're well and that we can support you during this important time.
And then we'll swing over to Sarah Whitehead, the other Sarah.
Hi from sunny Buffalo. Hope you guys are all doing well, and just email me if you can't find the other Sarah's email.
And okay, we'll swing down to Miranda.
Hi everyone, it's nice to see you all. I've gotten to meet some of you in person when I've joined Sarah on site visits, and I also provide some evaluation support on the project, which means I'm the one who analyzes all the feedback data you give us from those surveys you take. So I'd just like to say we really appreciate that, and we do use what you say to guide our work.
And then Charlene was our first person on today, so we're gonna let her go next.
Yay. Well, I thought I was late, but I ended up logging in early. So, hi everybody. I am just home here in Albuquerque. So, and just like to say that I am a teacher, middle school and elementary, and I'm just here with the kids and trying to keep them going on their homework assignments and checking in on mine and then now this, so here I am.
Thank you. And then we'll go over to Katie. I don't know what order they're in on your screen, but I'm going in order per my screen. That's you. Or not you.
No, I was muted. Hi, I'm Katie Carlson. I work at Widuka Dotting. I teach middle school. I am in my little cave of a house, doing well, trying to figure out things to stay busy. I don't know what else I'm supposed to say, but hi.
All right, and then over to Susan.
Still morning up here in Alaska. So I teach 2 languages, Danaga, which is Koyukon Athabascan, and Bentihut Anakanaga, which is the language of Minto. And I've been teaching over video conference, so I've been helping my husband learning how to teach this way. And so our students, a lot of them are off the grid. We have teach over 9 villages, and so I'm creating language packets for them to do while they are at home.
Perfect. Thank you, Susan. And yeah, you are definitely our Zoom pro. So your husband's in good hands. You will show him the way. All right, let's move over to Mila.
Good afternoon. I don't know what to say except that everything's going okay. Trying to reach my students via email or phone call. I've heard from parents, mainly parents, and most of them are going home to Zuni actually this time. So I don't know how many students are actually in the city. And so that's actually a relief for me that I know that they're safe at home in Zuni. Alakwa, thank you.
Thank you. And then over to Rosie.
Uju, I'm Rosie. I work at Widuka Dotting and I teach 4th and 5th grade. And I connected with all my students for through a class website we have, and then I also hit them up with some emails, texts, and calls. So I've reached out to all of them so far.
Wonderful. And then we'll head over to Flora.
Good morning. I'm Flora. I'm calling in from San Carlos tribe. I work for the education department and been home just like everybody else. I'm trying to get things done from home. It's a little bit difficult, but we're surviving. And so we've been trying to communicate with the district, our partners, to see if we can continue some of the work, just working on right now, the only individuals that we're working closely with is our Head Start program, our language teachers being able to provide packets for students and incorporating some of the language in there. So otherwise, everyone here, I believe, is doing well. Been checking up on all my staff. And it's good to know that everybody's in good health. I think that's probably one of our number one concerns, is making sure that everybody's healthy and practice social distance. Beginning to miss my staff though, so I don't know how much longer we're going to be here, but it's I think that the difficult part is just having to, you know, stay put in one place. And thankful though, Tanya and Sarah, I know, are aware that we just have a newborn in our home. So I'm enjoying the time with the baby. So, and then my granddaughter, who is one, just giving a chance to spend some time with them. And also working from home and playing catch up right now. So, but I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Yeah, she has an adorable new grandbaby. All right, let's head over to Daisy. Oh, we can't quite hear you. I think you might still be muted.
Yeah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm calling in from Gallup, New Mexico. That's where I live. And this week, our school district is on spring break. So I'm surprised that Mila and Charlene were able to log on, because everybody else in the district are on spring break. And we are officially back on April 6th. So glad to be here.
That's just how dedicated your team is, Daisy.
Thank you for the dedication.
All right, let's head over to Becky.
Hi, I work with Flora over in San Carlos as the education manager for the early childhood program. As Flora said, our Head Start teachers have been distributing packets, including information regarding language. We've created a Facebook page, which will be open to the public as of Monday, and we're working on a more robust website than the one that we had already developed for NAL. We've got the NAL up and running, but we're looking for one for the early childhood also. With regards to the kindergarten and first grade teachers, immersion classes, they're sending home work packets and they're engaging with their students. Difficulty being that not a lot of the students have technology at home. So technology at the home has been a little bit, we're working on it. We're working on it quickly and we're learning fast.
Yeah, I think that's what we're all kind of getting to do, is learn lots of new things really, really fast. Thank you. All right, let's go over to Mike. He may not have his audio connected just yet. Let's try for Lisa.
Hi, everyone. I've been home for a long time, but I work at Wadukudading and actually made it out of the house a couple days ago to deliver lunches to some of our students. So it was a beautiful spring day. The sun was shining and it was really nice to be out. Although I just remembered that riding on a bus really makes me car sick. But it was good to get out and nice to see you all.
Thank you, Lisa. All right, let's roll over to Brenda. Her audio I think is getting connected too. So let's try for Gina.
Hi, everyone. This is Gina Harinko. I am the Director of State and Federal Programs for Yukon-Koyukuk School District. And our district, as everybody else, our district office is closed. Our schools are closed, but we're doing everything we can to provide a good quality education to our students. Oh, I just realized my video.
There you are.
There we go. So we're doing what we can to provide a quality education for our students. Unlike many of our urban counterparts, we're unable to do online education because many of the students in our villages, they do not have internet in their homes. And those that do have internet, we surveyed, it's like 20%. But those that do have internet, the internet is not very good quality. So our teachers are working hard to put packets together. And Susan, I'm not sure if she's on, I think she is on this call. She's been working really hard to put native language packets together, and she'll explain that a little bit more when you call on her. But these packets include, you know, games and cards and language activities, anything that that she can think of to engage our students with native language while they're at their homes. And she's also been calling students and talking with them, doing like little mini lessons and asking them, you know, in what ways she can further support their language learning efforts. And so even with all the challenges, I feel like you know, we have a pretty good solid plan in place to continue the education of our kiddos.
Thanks, Gina.
Sure.
And Mike put over in the chat box, he's having some audio issues, but he is joining us from Wadukadating as well. So he'll join via chat and we'll just yell out his answers. And then I think we have someone on the phone. I don't know. Daisy, is your audio via phone, or is that another person in Gallup, New Mexico? Oh, we can't hear you.
I think it's Brenda trying to log on because
okay.
when we had the TA, she was unable to get on. It says from Brenda to everyone, my audio is on the phone. It's Brenda from Albuquerque. She's not in Gallup, she's in Albuquerque.
I just Googled real quick what the 505 area code was, and I'm like, look, it's Gallup, New Mexico. But okay. So Brenda is also with the team from Albuquerque schools. So she's joining via phone. And then Tanya is back with us in unfrozen form. So I'm going to let her be our final introduction.
Hi, everyone. Yeah, I don't know what is going on. I think I've just had too many conference calls, so my computer wants to give up on me here. But it's good to see everybody and know that y'all are doing okay for the time being, and just hoping that this passes quickly so we can all get back to normalcy. But I really do miss being back in the office. I know that's crazy, but I do.
All right. I think we've gotten everybody. If I skipped anyone, unmute and holler at me, and we will make sure to include you. But I do want, before we get too far, to just cover a little bit of guidance from the department so you know where to access that. So I'm going to change the screen up here. So the department has put together a website of COVID-19 information and resources. And you can find on there, this is constantly being updated. So you're always going to have the latest guidance from them here. And there's sections for elementary and secondary schools, as well as sections for higher ed. If your question is not addressed through the website, they also have an email address. And I can put that over in the chat box, but it's also at the bottom of the web page. And so you can always send those in there as well. So if you send those to Angela or Tanya, for the most part, they're going to direct you to that website as well, because they really want to make sure that everyone's getting consistent information in regards to COVID-19 and school closures.
Sarah, I'm just going to add a couple of things about that. So one, I know some of you actually have had, or maybe your colleagues or your leadership has submitted questions. Not surprisingly, a lot fiscal administration related, related to other issues in terms of the types of support during this crisis. And so I just want to reiterate that while the expectation is that when you do budget revisions, et cetera, because you're just doing them irrespective of what's going on outside right now, that's one thing. But just know that there will be forthcoming guidance from the department on issues, for example, related to personnel and pay from grant funds. There'll be more guidance on general spending specific to as a result of the direct impact where it might not have been in the original scope of activities, and certainly things at scale. So I would encourage you, as opposed to sending those questions to Tanya, that you continue to send to that COVID-19 at ed.gov email box. Know that they're coming through, and we are working with our program attorneys and leadership to get those answered. Not surprisingly, and to Sarah's point, anything as far as new policy guidance and updates will be reflected on this page. So continue to visit that, and that will evolve over time. Not surprisingly, you see that the first things first, you see us addressing waivers for title programs. So we're trying to deal with it really more on a scale basis, but know that your questions are important, and even if you think it might have been asked, it's okay to go ahead and ask that again. It's really important that they see the extent to which there might be issues of concern or issues unique to the Native community. So that's another piece that will be really important. You know, unforeseen circumstances or potential issues, I think, would be helpful to hear from you via that mailbox if you think that there are emergent challenges ahead. And that's all I'll say for now, Sarah. Thank you.
Yeah. All right. So we're not going to talk specifically about COVID-19 or coronavirus anymore the rest of this webinar. I think you know where to go for the information, and we're going to move on to what's top of mind, I think, for most of you, and that's your actual students. So I'm going to share the question, but I'm going to unshare so that we can actually have a face-to-face conversation. But as we talk about your school's current closure plan, we don't mean so much how long are you going to be closed. I think we all have a pretty good idea of a good long while, and I have kind of specific information regarding each of your closures. But really, what is your plan as it stands now with how you're going to be engaging with students? And I know for many of you that is an ever-evolving plan, but if you can share some of the things that you've put in place thus far to be able to even get in contact with your students, or for those that have started some of the virtual learning or distance learning, because it's not all virtual as far as online, what does that look like for y'all right now? And feel free to unmute and jump in, or if you can raise your hand and I can help you unmute.
I can say for San Carlos, what we've done is we created a Facebook page, and we can set the kids up with parent permission. We're looking to gain consent to participate in the Facebook or the kids version of Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
And which doesn't allow for much engagement or interaction, but it's something. We've also got teachers and our counselors outreaching to the parents and students in the community via phone calls. And so they're calling. We've got families that are coming in to pick up lunchtime meals and food boxes. And when they pick up food boxes, they're also picking up work packets. We are working to make our website a little bit more engaging with families and students, so that some of our lessons and instruction can be provided through there. I know in the past that's been a huge hesitancy, and so we're working within those regulations to see if we can get it accessible. Our difficulty isn't necessarily the internet. Flora our executive director, and the tribal chairman were amazing, and they managed to talk to the internet provider to get free internet for a month or so for the families within the community. So internet might be accessible to families. However, the technology to use the internet might not be. They might not have in fact, most of them don't have tablets and computers at home. Cell phones is what they have. And so if their mom or dad lets them use their cell phone, that's what we're working with. So our work packets are really going to be our primary way of communicating with the kids, and the phone calls.
Yeah. And then if you could just touch on, to let everybody know that y'all have Head Start kiddos engaged, as well as the school age.
We do. We have Head Start, Kinder, and First curriculum designed and immersion classes in place. 2 immersion Head Start, 1 immersion Kinder, 1 immersion First grade. We've got non-immersion classes that are using our curriculum in grades Head Start through First. We've been working to refine our kindergarten and first grade curriculum and design our second grade curriculum. And actually, we're using this opportunity as we had a lot of professional development scheduled for the summer. And so we're looking to find a way to reconfigure that professional development and that curriculum development that we were looking to do over the summer, and to do it now while this is going on, while teachers are at home.
Yeah, making use of that time.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the school district is handing out iPads to the younger kiddos. Has that been going pretty well? I know the login was quite a dilemma.
Yeah, the login has been super stressful.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I honestly can't say that it's in full effect yet. It's going to take a week or two.
Yeah.
Most of our community is not technology savvy. In fact, most of our staff is not technology savvy. So families and students, it's going to take a little while.
I can kind of share with the school district. I know because we just recently had our updated phone call with the our internet service people, and every week we've been just kind of updating on how the services are being provided. And right now I know that all the ones that have previously had services and just had to be reconnected, those families have the internet connection. But for those that have never had any type of internet connection or phone connection in their homes, they're waiting on material. I think some of the optic lines that were lined outside in the neighborhood, they need to start picking up the homes and making sure that they have internet service. So that process may take a while for those individuals who've never had the services in their homes. So, and that's one of the issues we have now. And that's, I would say, a large amount of families who've never had phone services in their homes. So, and the company was saying that they didn't have a lot of the supplies needed to be able to install some of those lines. So it'll take some time. They had to order some of the materials. So they're just on the materials to, so that they're able to go out and hook up some of the lines in the homes. But we've also set up areas of what do they call them? The hot spots, so that families can actually go in these places to log on. But one of the recommendations was that they remain in their vehicles as they're logged on due to social distancing. So I believe for now it's working. We've had an update on how many families have received services. There's a large amount. We also have, this also includes our college students who are needing internet services. So, and just like Becky shared a bit ago, we do have quite a few, even our high school students who are trying to figure out how to, even though they have the internet service, they may not have a laptop or any of that sort to be able to work online. So I think that's really one of the major issues. San Carlos School District, I believe, technology-wise, have been updated, and majority of the equipment that they have, tablets and whatnot, are they have a large quantity, so they were able to loan those out to each of the students, each of the families. So, but for our two other schools nearby, Fort Thomas and Globe, there's some issues. They've been contacting our office to see if we're able to provide laptops for them. And unfortunately, we're not able to do that. Majority of the laptops we have in our office, we do have, I believe, like 25 to 30 laptops, which are currently going to be given to our teaching staff so that they're able to utilize that and produce all their work at home. And so it's just been really difficult. I think internet is there. Just the fact that not having the computers and laptops available for those at home, I think is probably our issue. So we're doing our best working with the different districts to be able to see how we can come up with producing work for the students. And I know some of it is overwhelming too, because some of the families that are at home with their children and doing a lot of the online courses right now, we've gotten feedback that especially those that stay with grandmas and grandpas, that they're having a lot of difficulty trying to navigate the internet portion and trying to help their grandchildren and the work that they need to get done. So that area is difficult. And majority of our kids here, and I'm sure that in other tribes it's the same way, that grandmas and grandpas are the ones that take care of the children. And so that's been an issue, but we hope to, I'm not sure how the district is handling that, but I know that as we continue to move forward, you know, we continue to plan to figure out ways to help those families who don't have access to computers, and those who are having difficulty just being able to log on and help their children at home. So, and
Yeah.
some helpful to, we've been trying to find out which families have high school students, so that maybe those high school students can actually help grandma log on to the computer to help the younger children. So that's some of the areas I think the district right now is trying to figure out, see how many of those families have high school children to be able to assist in getting those children online and doing their work. So,
yeah. Well, and Susan, can you actually explain a little bit about what y'all are doing? Because so few of your students have internet access, that y'all have gotten a different plan together.
Okay. Yeah. So as part of this grant, we wrote a workbook both for Denaga and for Benti, and that was actually very fortuitous. Hold on, I got to tell my husband to quit whistling.
He was just giving us some ambient music for our meeting.
Okay. All right. And so as part of that, one thing that one of the conferences they said about sending kits home to the kids, and I really liked that idea. I just didn't ever have time to design the kits or do it. Well, you know, here we go, flash forward. So I'll share with you a little bit of what's in the kit, and the plan, once I get these kits shipped out, then the plan to deliver the language instruction if they don't have anybody in the home. So let me share my screen. Okay, so let me go here. Okay, so this one here is share. Okay, so this is, I had to borrow my nephew. So this is like the bingo game. And I'm actually going to send out the cards with them, that I just needed a sample for one. And so this is like a kid, my nephew, here's the word that he's going to have. And then I sent out instructions with all these little cards, and they can put them on the bingo. And another game that we did, let me share my other one. Okay, food. Problem is I have so many things open.
That's always my dilemma. I open
Okay,
all.
here we go. Yeah. Okay, so this one in the packet, there's going to be 5 topics. Introduction, which includes family, weather, feelings, animals, because they love animals, and because they're home, the food. And of those, I've taught 4 of the units already this year. So hopefully this is just a lot of review and a lot of practice for them to continue. So in the packet are instructions for them playing different games. There's concentration or memory. There's a tap game, which is also like the fly swatter. You put the cards down, and I'll record a little video and I'll just call out words, and then they just have to tap it. There's board games. We included a board packet in there, and then they'll have all of their cards, and if they count, they have to count in Dinaga or Benti. And in the 5 units, there's essential questions that go with each unit. And through their other academic instruction, students also received materials like dice and the pencils and crayons and markers. So I don't need to include that in there. But I didn't make game pieces. I used little paper clips like this. Oh, you can't see. Okay, here we go. And then I put the game pieces on there with the little animals. So, because I was thinking, oh, maybe kids wouldn't have something to use for game pieces on the board game. So let me put this one together real quick. So you just take the card. Well, of course, my backdrop is kind of goofing it up a little bit. Okay, and then this is just a simple paper clip, and there's their board game. And so we include the board game in there. And this one is a game called Snatch. So you take 2 vocabulary words. Students sit across from each other and you call out a word, like this one here is Noya'a, which is beaver. And whoever has it first, they snatch the thing in the middle. So the instructions are all right there for the students. And if you'd like, I can share these game instructions and how to make the business card. So I also share the business cards, what that looks like. And I'm working with a local printer here in Fairbanks, and they are printing up these cards. It's quite tedious for them, but you know, they're busy with that. And let me see. Okay, so here's like the family one. So this is the card for my aunt, mother's sister, Sagia, my aunt Sabadra, the father's sister. And so in each kit, there will be 1 card that has the Dinaga word, and then another one that does not have the word. So the students, not for the early elementary, but the upper elementary, then they would have to write that on their other card, or they could leave it blank so that they can use that as a flashcard. So my plan, once we get these kits out there, is I was fortunate many years ago to go to Aldi in Tucson, and I learned how to do video editing. So since our students don't have reliable internet, I was just going to do small little movies on each unit. And many of the homes do have DVDs, so record the units on there and then burn DVDs and send that. So that'd probably be about maybe a week out on that. I'm just getting the kits ready for those. And then I also included a link in the parent letter to different online resources that we have. We have through Mukutu, we have an online dictionary, through VoiceThread, which is the conversation in the clouds that we had been using in the schools for our assessment. So those are still available for the students. And I've also been doing just like a 20-minute class a day for anybody that wants to learn Dinaga. So I have about 8 students that have been attending. One of them are teachers in the village. Another one is going to sign up. So just providing that as a resource for people since they're home now and they have more time to learn our languages. And I'd be available if anybody wants to send me email and ask for a copy of those instructions.
Yeah. And Susan, if you'll share it with me, I'll send it out to everybody that's on today.
Okay.
Because yeah, I know there's definitely a couple of folks who are super interested in seeing all the great stuff you've put together and how that might work for their language as well. So thanks for sharing. And then I know our Albuquerque group, you're starting your instruction next week.
On Monday.
Yeah, so enjoy the last bits of your spring break before you launch in. How about for the Waduka Dotting group? What have y'all been doing thus far?
Well, what we have done, or as a district, what they have done is that they have put together a plan where the students, all those students have received a survey asking about their technology needs. And so those students who need a computer, they will be issued one. The State Department and our school district. And so they're going to do a drive-by, grab and go type of thing. And they're going to have the families do permission forms. And so I found out that most of the schools are doing an inventory of all of their technologies available in the schools. And so I'm thinking that it's going to be per school for the students in each of the schools. So I'm not going to worry right now for the native language kids for now. I will start worrying if some of our students don't get a computer, then that will be up to us to furnish it to check out to the students. But right now, our district is focusing on seniors in the district to make sure that our seniors on time. And there's a plan of how they will be assessed. All the instruction and instructional directions have been sent out to all the students in the district. And the teachers have been contacting all their students and their families, and that happened last week. I believe that my teachers from my department have also gotten that communication. So Mila just mentioned that she has been contacting her parents, and I believe that Charlene has also contacted her parents and have been talking and communicating with the students. But going forward, we will be developing plans of instructional plans of what we'd like to do. But for the Navajo language program, last year we bought the new updated version of Navajo language on the Rosetta Stone. And so it's been put into the district's mainframe, where every single student in the district, whether if they're in the Navajo language class or not, they will be able to access it. So Charlene has equipped all of her students with a password, and she's been utilizing this program already. There's an assessment piece already built into that software program. And so the high school teacher has already set up his students also. And so he is teaching a dual language program. So I would say that with the Navajo language, there is really already a program, a software program, and our students will have access to equipment to accessing their information. And of course, since they live in Albuquerque, they will have access to internet. It's the students who are out in the rural communities that the State Department is going to be helping and working with and getting them up to speed with a broadband for internet. For the Zuni language, that one is not online, and so I will be talking with the 2 language teachers. Mila's one of them, and so going forward, since we don't have a software in the Zuni language, so that's going to be more individualized for each of the teachers for their plans, and also how we will provide instruction for the students. And Mila has a lot of ideas, so it's just going to take more communication, more planning. And so we will put that in place beginning Monday. And so we're starting off with a virtual meeting with everybody and developing plans for the various groups who do specific tasks from our department. But I would say that for now, the language programs are up and ready to go. It's gonna take some training and help with Jerry G on getting reaching out to his students to get them equipped with password access to the Rosetta Stone. But I have two other Navajo language teachers, like Charlene and then the other high school teacher, who have been utilizing this already. So they know how this works. So that is the plan going forward. And we have done a pre-test to get the baseline for each of our students. We will continue to do a post-test after all this is done at the end of the year. Possibly in May, we will test all of them to find out what the progress of each of the students are. And Charlene has been talking about sending work home in packets. All the students are being fed in many of the schools in the cafeterias. So our curriculum and instruction department has been putting kits, instructional kits, packets, and there's been a lot of internet links that the parents can access for the other students. Also, our district is providing instruction on TV with PBS, so the students will be able to continue instruction. So they are up to speed, and there's a lot of creative instructional methods that is going on. And so we just need to jump on that and begin to get in there and begin to work with our students. That's the plan going forward for now.
Yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And how about our Watuka Dotting group with your middle school kids?
Okay, she said middle school, so I'll go first. Rosie.
Middle school as a general box for both of you.
We were texting asking which one wanted to go first, so I'll just go ahead and go first. So we're reaching the end of our initial closure time. Our closure got extended by our governor. So I think Monday, that's the 6th, right? I lost track of days. But Monday was the end of our original closure. So before we closed to begin with, it was a mad dash, essentially, to send work home with our students because we closed 2 days earlier than we intended. And we didn't really know until halfway through the school day that we were closing. So it was a mad dash to make sure that they had things that could go home. And we were kind of instructed by the school that we're in. Our school is in a different school, to send homework that wasn't going to be graded, but would still kind of help them maintain what we were working on. And so we did that for the most part. It was topics that we had already covered to make sure that they weren't losing ground while we were gone. But now, as we're facing the extension of this closure, we're having to take stock of what kind of internet our families have at home. And then there's a lot of deals going on right now, which is awesome because we're rural, and everyone's far away in different corners of the reservation, and we don't know what their accessibility is. And even if they do have good accessibility, it's not necessarily a guarantee, like some of you have said, that they have devices that are appropriate for keeping up with whatever we're offering. So we're trying to make sure that there's some kind of equality. We're having a Chromebook rollout next week. So all of our 18 middle school students will be assigned a Chromebook. They'll have to come to school to get it, but they'll have a Chromebook. Part of what we've done with middle school was to make sure that all of the kids have had a computer class, so they know how to navigate the computers, they know how to sign into Google. They've all been assigned Gmail email addresses, so within our school system, so they all have the lcoosk12.org ending for their email address. They know how to log on, they know how to access things within that G Suite. So that'll be what we use to sort of go back and forth with them, whatever we've decided to start. I think I'm going to start a private YouTube channel to get across to my kids, and I have not decided if I'm above creating a TikTok. I don't know, but that seems to be like I can't get
Very
them.
popular.
I can't get them to not look at it when they're in school. So if they're already looking at it, like, hi, I'm your cool teacher, and you need to still be learning because I'm worried about you. So there's that. I think we will send more paper work home with their weekly meal deliveries. So that'll be happening. I'm going to have to get on one of those meal deliveries because even though I get motion sick, just like Beba Mashikwe said, I get really motion sick, which is why I haven't done it yet, but I need to get on there just to see their faces. But for the most part, I think everyone will be able to come into school, get their Chromebook, and then we'll be able to go from there. There's a lot of videos and current things that are happening that these kids, we pay attention because we're language learners and we teach them in this language that we're still trying to acquire, but they don't necessarily pay attention to that because they have the gift of having had this language since they were in preschool. So there's a lot of resources that we're already using that we just kind of have to put under their noses. Most of the parents are amazing, and everyone talks about doing their parent contacts, and I kind of worried for a minute because I was like, oh, I haven't been doing those, but that I'm friends with a lot of my students as parents, so we've been talking anyway, and I just didn't connect that I've been making these parent contacts since we've been done. Yeah, I think there's a little worry that this will extend a lot longer than we had originally anticipated. So we're essentially trying to give everyone the support that we can and remind them that we're not expecting you, and it's not realistic to do 7 hours a day. That's not a thing. I did. But some people are genuinely worried about that, like I'm cooking 3 meals a day, then I'm cleaning, and then we're doing this, but then how am I supposed to teach them for 7 hours a day? So part of it is alleviating that stress, is you don't need to be teaching 7 hours a day. It's not going to work the same. It's not going to look the same. And I think that's helping a lot of people, and just good, honest reminders that we're Indigenous. Whatever we're doing, we're learning. There's a deeper lesson in something very simple that you think, oh, this really wasn't a good use of my time. It was. You just think critically about it. So, yeah.
No, and I appreciate you bringing up the be realistic. I think that's so helpful for all the parents who all of a sudden are feeling like they need to be much more engaged in education. And then for all of us from the teacher standpoint, that, yeah, we all have to be realistic. We're all having to rapidly jump into a whole new realm of types of education, and it's new for our kids, and it does not need to replicate what you were doing before. Yeah, you don't have to be online with them 19 hours a day. It's okay. We all take a nice deep breath.
It will be okay.
We will all be okay. We're going to all, be approaching this a little bit differently, but I think that's why hopefully things like this, where you can all start engaging with one another, even outside just the teacher hat, but of the Indigenous teacher hat, to kind of share with each other, is hopefully a little helpful, as we're all trying to be realistic and not put so much pressure on ourselves to do everything and be everything every day. And Rosie, did you want to throw anything else in? You're welcome to.
I can jump off a little bit. So yeah, we kind of knew the weekend before it was happening, so we were getting packets together. Not all the kids showed up. All right, Monday to school. So sorry. Oh my gosh, hold on.
Like we said, we're all multitasking.
Her kids are like the most well-behaved kids I have ever seen. So like to hear them screaming in the background is like hilarious to me.
Playing a game. Yes, and we just got to go this week to be back in our classrooms. So we didn't have access to the classrooms, to any of the stuff that we didn't, before we left, it was like, grab what you need and go. So now we're able to go back and make some packets and stuff. And so yeah, this week I kind of spent time seeing who has devices, who has internet, because unlike Nisha Basic Way, we don't have Chromebooks in 4th and 5th grade, so there's no way to give them access if they don't have any access.
Yeah.
I'm hoping to jump off on siblings who may be in middle school that, hey, can we use it for an hour a day to do this, do that? Because for the most part, families are using off their phone, and so I'm sending stuff that maybe they can read, and then the kids can reread and put on paper. Like she said, I'm using stuff that we use as learners, our resources. That, hey, this can help you too. What else? Yeah, and part of it too in the beginning is reaching out to see what their needs are, but at the same time not having them feel obligated to be so concerned about school, because they're stressed out, worried. I'm not sure what's happening in their homes, food-wise, supply-wise. So give them the resources without feeling overwhelmed that they have to get everything done.
Yeah. Thank you. So one of the other things we wanted to talk about was resources. And I know everybody's kind of having the issue around internet and device accessibility and that type of thing. But on the other end, on kind of the teacher end, do you have the technology resources that you feel like you need? And that could be, hey, I really wish I had a better tool to meet with my kids, or I wish, I knew of more resources of how to record lessons, or a guide on how to do that, that type of thing, as well as content resources. So, if any of you have any particular challenges or great resources, whether it be technology resources or content resources from kind of that teacher side, we'd love to hear both the challenges and I found this great thing, or I use this great thing. And I know you may need to mull that for a minute. That's fine.
I have one that I'm looking at, working on, which is called the Google Slides.
Mm-hmm.
It's under the Google, along with the Google Classroom.
Yeah.
On there, on the slides, you can put in notes or pictures, or you can also upload videos. I know for our language, our students need to be speaking, and then my plan is to upload those videos on there and then just disseminate them through Google Classroom, and just give them the codes and keep that communication going. And that's what I found also so far with Google Slides.
One thing that I can suggest is the Google Meet. That's another resource on the same Google Suite somebody had mentioned. That's available for use. I know with APS we can actually we already have that account, so it's just a matter of navigating, which I'm still learning. So I plan to use Google Classroom. It's just depends on the schools that I'm at. I only have about 3 or 4 schools who utilize Google Classroom, and 2 other schools do not. So that's going to be a little bit of a challenge trying to get my students, all APS students, so if they have the Google account, so they should be able to get on and see the things that I will put on. So it's just going to take time to figure out, and then some of my students don't have Wi-Fi at home, so that's another challenge. So I had emailed my parents to find out if they had Wi-Fi or cell phone technology, and most of them do. So it's kind of a challenge for us as a department to find those things out when your school isn't responsive. That's what I'm finding out.
Yeah. And the nice thing about Google Meets is it's also free, which is always the appropriate price. And a number of groups, both content and technology, have started offering things free during this time. So even like Zoom, normally the free account cuts off after 40 minutes, and you're not always done teaching at the end of 40 minutes. But if you are an educator right now, they've lifted that limit. You just have to email them and let them know that you're a teacher, and they'll take the time limit off your free account. So that's another option as well. Any challenges, any things that are being challenges either in the content arena or the technology arena? And if you're like me, sometimes once I hang up on a Zoom, I think of them. You can always also send them in later. Yeah.
I guess one of my concerns is, so we're really fortunate to have the Chromebooks to get out to these kids. We're fortunate to have, we didn't even necessarily plan for this, getting them hooked up to the G Suite and having Gmail accounts. But I struggle with, this is kind of like a homeschool environment at this point. Like we're putting the responsibility, I guess, on parents to make sure that these kids are engaged for however long, or that, like, because in my classroom, I got a bunch of rowdy middle schoolers. I have to break a sweat going like this just to get them to watch me while I'm giving them direct instruction. And like, I worry that the ones that I have to be so dynamic for, or like play games or just be loud and change the tone of my voice and just be really captivating, I worry that they're not going to get the same things. And so it's going to be harder for them, even though they're getting this really awesome content. I'm just worried that I'm not going to be able to send that stuff out virtually to them.
Yeah. And does anybody have any particular ideas or resources? While everybody's kind of thinking, I can tell you one thing that I've done online, even with adults. If you've used Kahoot before, it's Kahoot, and I can send out the link, but it's free. They have, of course, like the fancy ones that you can upgrade to, but all the things you would need are on the free account, and you can basically play like a game show with your kids. And so everybody can compete. So it works really well, even if they only have like a cell phone. You don't necessarily need a full laptop or computer to be able to engage with it really easily. It works really well even on a cell phone. And you can put whatever content you want in there. So that way you're able to make it in language, in topic. You know, you don't just have to use pre-canned stuff that doesn't apply to you. So that's one option, and it has lots of different things you can put in there, and has lots of bells and whistles for that kind of dance dynamic that they might be missing with you gone. Although if you're going to do TikToks, that will bring it right into their living room. Options. And I have seen some folks who are doing like educational TikTok challenges. All the other TikTok challenges normally have them doing some pretty goofball things. This will be goofball for learning. All right. We'll keep thinking, you know, challenges or resources. I did want to share a couple of things that we're trying to do on this end and get some feedback from you. Let me switch around again. So I just kept us where we could look at each other for these questions because I think it's a little easier to keep talking in that way. But as we talk about, I'd like to kind of share a little bit about anything in particular that you're able to do specific to language or culture or challenges around that. And then some resources that we're trying to find for you as well. One that I found that I thought was kind of neat, I don't know how many people have seen it, are the Think Indigenous video lessons that they're doing every day, sometimes multiple times a day. And it's a group out of Canada, but they're really working with lots of different groups all over to record at least one video lesson almost every day, and sometimes multiple. So I just took a little screenshot of this one that was on song and drum, but they've done them on storytelling. They've done them on different parts of history. They've done it on language. They've done it on sewing, on a pleat. I mean, all kinds of different things that you might be able to pull from or utilize during this time that might be helpful. The other thought that we had talked about was, so in Italy, one thing that they had all the kids doing all over the country was putting up this message, which is basically like, it's all going to be okay. And so how neat if we got all of our kids to have like an uplifting message that they did in all their different languages and posted those up. So all the kids were posting them like in front of their homes, like in the front window, or like you can see these did it on like the balcony of their apartment. But then they were taking pictures and they were sharing it with each other. And everybody was just sharing these nice uplifting phrases that way. So before we get into the resource database, are any of you either having specific challenges around really keeping that language culture piece going, or any great ideas around the language culture piece?
I think when we have our meetings with our principals and teachers, that's one thing that they were really looking for is what are things that people can do in their homes. So for example, we're talking about going outside and just doing observations. What are things that you see? What do you hear? And then tying that back to art, doing some art activities so that they can record what's happening right now, because this never happened in any of our lives. And so they're a part of it. And I think, what are they doing as a family? And I think with our culture, you know, everybody having to be together, we're used to being with each other's, but we're finding that we have a new normal and learning to play games and stuff with each other's. I think it's just a different way to embrace the challenges that we have.
Absolutely. And I think, yeah, anything that we can help provide to families that they can do together and kind of embrace being together as much as they are right now and keep that very positive and uplifting and fun is nice. I know one idea that someone had shared prior to the webinar was that also, you know, when they're at the school with us, we all focus a lot on having a language rich environment and having lots of things labeled and lots of posters up and charts up and all kinds of things. And this might be a great time to help your kids start actually labeling and making different things in their home to make their own home a language rich environment, so that that's being maintained in their own spaces now that that's their new learning environment. Start teaching those siblings and parents and all kinds of things.
Seems
Another thing another thing that can be done is I started taking pictures of food, anything like apples, onions, whatever I have in my kitchen. And then what I plan to do is record the Zuni word for it, and then teach them, you know, they'll see the picture, so they don't need an English translation. But that's another idea I've come across. Just everyday things And actually the labeling is not a bad idea. I can actually have my daughter do that.
Yeah. Well, and kind of like you were talking about with that, I've seen some people doing like scavenger hunts where everything's in language. So you have to know the words to gather the right things. And then you take like a picture of all the stuff you were supposed to gather. And that's kind of your informal assessment of did they get it? Or like a Mother May I version of the scavenger hunt. So maybe they record on a phone or whatever they might have, like a quick video of them doing like these 5 things and see if they understood these things that you've asked them to do. So yeah, I think anything we can do to also put some fun and action in the day is always great right now. So we'll definitely have time to talk through some more ideas and challenges, but I do want to show you one thing. In the resource database, we are opening up a new tab. So some of you have seen the resource database before, some of you may not have seen it before. It's something unique to this grant that before has housed mainly articles and publications and links to previous webinars that we've done for the grant. But this new tab is really aimed specifically at the teaching staff and starting to try to put in some resources that you can be using, whether it be for yourself on the teaching side, for the students during this time. And this is just a screenshot so you have kind of an idea of the layout. But a couple of questions that I'd love to get your feedback as we think about this resource database. And that is, so in there right now, we've been really careful to really just focus on either a technology tool that might be helpful for you on the teaching side, or things that are very specifically connected to language and culture. Now, other things that we've gathered that we could include, but I don't know how helpful that would be, if it's something that would be useful, and we really only want to do things that are actually helpful for you. So things like, do you want other resources that are not specifically regarding language and culture? So examples of that would be like places that are doing virtual field trips, but that aren't really connected necessarily to language and culture. They're just virtual field trips. But you might be able to connect them to your lessons in other ways. Folks that are doing like virtual story times and they're reading books, but they're not books that are in language, but it is opportunities for kids to hear books, but they would be in English. So would that be of interest? Would that be helpful? Or rather stick to things that are more directly tied to language and culture?
It's all helpful.
Okay, I've got an all helpful. I'll try to make it easier because I know it's hard to unmute, and I'll do. So we'll do a vote. Okay, so you just have to do this number because basically everybody's on camera. So anything helpful, specifically language and culture. All right. All right, so it looks like we had more hands for anything, but what I can do when I'm putting them all in there is make it sortable so that it's really easy to see the things that are very directly tied. And what I can actually do to make it even, I'll make it 2 tabs. So one tab will be super connected to language and culture, and one tab will be all the stuffs. So that way, you know, if you want to take something that's maybe available in English and then apply it to your lesson or change the language or whatever you want to do with it, you'll just have that available. Now, the favor that I'm going to ask all of you is, if you have great things that you're using or doing, or that you see, even if you're like, that's not really for the grade level I teach, but it looks cool, send it to me. You can send it via email, you can text it to me, whatever is easier for you, go for it. But the more eyes that we have out there noticing things and then contributing, the better it will be, because I'm just one set of eyes. So anything you see that you think might be of benefit to your NAL ED family, please share those, and I'll make sure that they all get put in there so that we have the most resources possible. And then our last little bit, and like I said, we can stay on and talk about anything that y'all would like, but just to kind of give you our last little pieces here, is kind of talking about what support from your technical assistance folks and from the Office of Indian Education would be helpful or beneficial moving forward. And with that, I send you, I just thought this was the most adorable thing, a socially distanced hug, because we want you to know we're here to help you, we're here to support you. So let us know, what would be helpful. So if you have any ideas today, but also, as we go along, if you think of things that would be helpful, let us know. Any things today that you're thinking like, oh, it'd be so helpful if only.
I don't know how often these happen, and I don't know if these like group chats that we're having right now happen because of more than just the closure or the current health situation of the US, but this was awesome to kind of see everyone and put names to faces and see the faces of other programs and know that like I'm not the only one that's kind of worried or stressing or like having these issues with internet and device things. Yeah.
Well, to answer the question part, yes, we do these for different reasons. So we'll do at least once a month. We usually do a coaching call with kind of the leadership of your grant. We also do webinars, usually about once a month, sometimes spread out a little bit differently, but about once a month. But a lot of times, unfortunately, some of them are when y'all are tucked away with students. But also on that database, all of those webinars are recorded. So like we had one at the beginning of the month about second language instructional strategies and had 2 different guest experts on. All of those are archived, so they're all recorded and you can watch them just like you would Netflix in the leisure of your home. So it's a little different than the things that are popular on Netflix right now. Nothing as salacious as Tiger King, but still good viewing for the educational end of things. So I'll make sure you can find all that on there as well, kind of in our follow-up emails, kind of explain where you can find that in the database for those who maybe haven't explored that. But as far as kind of these, that is, we really haven't done one specifically like this. We haven't done a big group coaching session for everybody before. So something we were trying that we thought might be helpful for folks, particularly with what was going on. So it's good to know if it was helpful. And it's definitely something we can try out again. So that actually brings me to our last little tidbits of information, which are that we do have an already scheduled another group coaching session, not next week, but the following week. It's on a Tuesday, April 14th. So this was the follow-up group coaching session to second language instructional strategies. You don't have to have been at that event in order to participate in this. We welcome anybody and everybody. So also if other members of your team want to join us, this is going to be with Dr. Kickham and Dr. Met. So they'll be joining us as well. If you happen to have time, if you weren't on the webinar before, you might want to watch it ahead of time. And so if you have any specific questions for those ladies, they will be on live. And you can ask any questions that you want of them or of the whole team. It'll just be another less formal type thing like this, where we're able to really talk with one another, but we'll have the added benefit of 2 more great thinkers, and they're going to come prepared with some virtual and distance type ideas as well. So that's on April 14th coming up. And then we're going to try and see if everybody knows how to annotate on the screen for our one poll. Just trying to see, was this beneficial for you and or your program, your students? So the way you annotate on the screen, if you have not done this on Zoom before, is up at the top of the screen where it says you're viewing my screen. If you go all the way over to the side, you should be able to open annotate. And then you can, I like to use the stamps. And if you use the stamps, you can just pick out whatever kind you like. They have arrows and checks and X's, and put it on either the green yes or the orange no. Your votes are anonymous, so you do not have to worry. And it's just fun to get to write on the screen. Not very often are we allowed to write on the presentation. So hopefully this was a great use of your time and you got something out of it. Like I said, we'll stay on. If you want to talk about anything else, I'm happy to stay on as long as y'all would like. Otherwise, though, you are welcome to go about your day. I'm glad you took time to share. But like I said, really be thinking about, if you have questions, if you have challenges, if there are things that we could be doing to help you, let us know. You can send me, you can call, email, text, literally anything. And that's the one thing. And the other thing being, as you see great resources or discover them or know of them, make sure and share those too.
Sarah, this is Daisy. Can you resend that link to the resource database?
Yes, I'll resend it to everybody.
Thank you. All right.
And Mila, I see your question. I'll send out the recording link too. I'll do follow-up email. All right. I said, feel free to stay on, but otherwise just go play with the cute kids I saw in everybody's pictures.